am, thank you. I am Dr. Jessica Moldoff. I'm the Deputy Director of Research, Analysis, and Program Innovation here at the Student Aid Commission. I've been at CSAC since about 2017. So always happy to find opportunities to work with our partners. With us today, we have Dr. Keith Curry, who is President of Compton College and CEO of the Compton Community College District. Also, Dr. Nohemy Ornelas, the Vice Chancellor of Educational and Student Services at the San Bernardino Community College District. So I believe first I will do a little bit of their bios, and then I'll give them a chance to introduce their districts and colleges. Dr. Keith Curry is the president of Compton College and CEO of the Compton College Community College District. Dr. Curry is responsible for overseeing all departments and functions of Compton College and the district and serves as secretary for the CCCD Board of Trustees. He brings an abundance of energy and innovative ideas to Compton College, along with a wealth of experience as a post-secondary education administrator. And Dr. Nohemy Ornelas is the Vice Chancellor of Educational and Student Services at the San Bernardino Community College District. In this role, she oversees industry partnerships, workforce development, institutional effectiveness, technology services, and programs that help students reach their academic and career aspirations. With a 27-year track record in public service, including 19 years focused on higher education, Dr. Ornelas has been instrumental in crafting equity-driven programs and strategies that have opened the doors of higher education to thousands of students and their families. So thank you both for joining us here today. So we're going to structure the...
I said I need 27 years in. That's impressive.
So we're going to structure today as more of a panel discussion. So on the next slide, we'll start with the first one is, well, I guess I already introduced you, but anything else you'd like to add about yourself, and also tell us a little bit about your college and why you're here talking about career technical education today.
I can go.
Yeah, Dr. Curry, go ahead.
It was mentioned, I thought, thank you very much for the introduction and also for the opportunity to be here today to talk about CTE pathways and adult education. I think this is something that's been really touching me lately as relates to the return on investment and economic mobility as relates to students. Compton College is the 114th California Community College. It's the first community college whose accreditation was revoked in 2006 by the Accrediting Commission. We became accredited in 2017. We had a partnership with El Camino Community College District that ended in 2019. And so we have been on a roll over the last 10 to 15 years to be able to provide services to our students within our community. I think we have a great opportunity to do more within our community because of our structure. We're structured based off of the completion by design research as it relates to our students and how we organize ourselves. And we're really focusing on how we work with our students from the connection point through the transition to a four-year college or university or to a job with livable wages. And so I'm really excited about that and how we're structured. We have 64% of our students are Hispanic / Latinx, 24% are Black students. 30% of our enrollment is dual enrollment students. We have one of the highest percentage of dual enrollment students in the state of California, and I'm really excited about that and the work we do in dual enrollment because it provides an opportunity to have early engagement with high school students from within our community. So we're a great institution providing services, and right now we have $160 million worth of construction happening on our campus, including a student housing project, which is 251 beds, $80.3 million, will be the first on-campus student housing in Los Angeles County. That gives you more about myself. And also, I've been at Compton College for over 20 years. I started here in 2005. I've been in this role for over 14 years. And according to Kevin Walters' rankings, I'm the third longest serving CEO at the same location in the state and number 6 overall.
Excellent. Dr. Ornelas.
All right, that is a hard act to follow, and it's an honor to be in this space with so many educators who are interested in really learning and having a dialogue regarding not only CTE, but how do we continue to ensure that our students are going to be equipped for the careers of the future. And so I am actually going to just show a little video that gives a little bit of background of our college district. And it's about 2 minutes long, and then I'll continue with our introductions. But actually, let me just make sure that the volume is checked off. And here we go.
Here, in the largest county in the United States, big dreams find a home. SBCCD. What do these letters spell? Opportunity. We're home to Crafton Hills College, San Bernardino Valley College, and our very own PBS and NPR public media station, KVCR. This is where our community learns something new every day. Affordable tuition, uncompromised quality, over 20,000 bright students. Every year, 2,000 of them graduate to do big things. We're more than higher education. We're an economic engine. In total, we boost our local economy by $720 million every year, building things, supporting local jobs, and helping businesses grow. We also team up with our local schools so young students get a taste of college early on. Our students learn by doing. They clock in over 40,000 hours of community service a year, helping make our neighborhoods even better. And for anyone looking for new career skills or a second chance, our Economic Development and Corporate Training Center is here, welcoming everyone and ready to lend a hand. To every neighbor, every taxpayer, know that every dollar, every effort is an investment in our shared future. At SBCCD, every day is about creating opportunities right here at home.
All right, so that was just a quick little video about our district. But I don't think we're unique when we think about all of the community colleges across the state. We have 116 community colleges. And I've had the honor of serving at 4 different districts. And this is my current district, San Bernardino Community College. I've been in the community college system for a little over 2 decades. And I think these topics are just so exciting because there's so many things to unpack. But I think that the center of the focus, which as we get through the questions, I don't want to jump ahead as I know Jessica has a lot of questions to ask us. But I think one of the biggest areas that I'm really passionate about and continue to be at the center of our conversations related to CTE and career pathways is college affordability, and how do we continue to create access for our students, especially when the students who we are serving today have so many needs. So I'm excited to continue with the conversation, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. So, so first off, I think Dr. Curry already touched on this a little bit, but since we have a lot of attendees from K-12 today, we wanted to start with how does your college or district foster CTE pathways with K-12? And we can start with Dr. Curry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As I mentioned earlier, that 30% of our enrollment is dual enrollment from our local K-12 schools. I just dropped in the chat our dual enrollment dashboard. All of our data at Compton College is publicly available, disaggregated by age, race, and gender. And we also do it at the course level. And I say that because I think data is important to have these conversations. So you have our updated dual enrollment dashboard through spring of 2025, which shows you what courses students are taking and how we move forward as an institution with regards to dual enrollment. One of the things I think is important when we talk about CTE pathways in K-12, it's important that you have a relationship with your K-12 districts, and not just a relationship that's done by email or telephone calls. At our campus, we have monthly meetings, partnership meetings with our K-12 partners, and there's 3 K-12 districts we work with. From there, we're able to come up with new ideas and also implement those ideas. And I chuckle because I feel like every single meeting, there's a new idea people want to implement. And one of the things that we're doing right now, we just did our new strategic master plan, which I drop in the chat. And the strategic master plan talks about dual enrollment. But one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a K-12 strategic plan that's linked to our plan. Because we get so many requests, it's hard to manage all of that as we move forward. And so by creating strategic plans, it's going to be helpful. But one of the spaces that we've been really pushing on is CTE pathways. So we have offering welding courses for our K-12 districts where they're actually bringing students by bus from the adult schools to our campus to offer for our welding courses. We're also offering culinary arts now at one of our local high schools. And in addition to that, we have one of our local high schools building a new school, which they're also building a new welding lab and also a culinary arts lab for us as well. And so when I think about this question in regards to CTE pathways, is one is identifying your CTE pathways within your college that you could offer to K-12 students. Also looking at, is there some way you could do some articulation with their CTE programs and articulate that to your campus so students are able to receive credit. But then also making sure that you have a strategic plan, work with your K-12 districts so you can be able to do that over a period of time. And the reason why I say the strategic plan is because you have to be able to manage it all, because there's only one pot of dollars in community colleges or at institutions as relates to dual enrollment. And so you have to be able to manage it out right as relates to the course offers and what you can actually do realistically for your district. And so I think that's very important to have those strategic plans to be able to work with the K-12 district to establish, but also to build out what are you looking at for dual enrollment, but particularly for this question, regards to career technical education pathways. Thank you.
Just to build on that, I think that it's important to understand the community that you're in and understand the school districts that you serve. One important piece that I like to consider when we're working with high schools is knowing that one size doesn't fit all. All of the high schools have different needs, have different programs, are interested in different pathways. So building those relationships, having those conversations, and really creating a space where the colleges can get feedback. I like to try to understand the LCAP plans. What are the priorities for your district? What type of programs or infrastructures do you have in place so that we can build upon that? I remember when I worked directly with a school district and they wanted to offer graphic design, for example, and we needed to have certain equipment and certain software to be able to offer that course at that school. So that really took partnerships, collaborations, and conversations in terms of how do we adequately support the schools where the students will be taking those courses. I think another aspect of it is also looking at gathering feedback from the high schools. There are so many embedded and ingrained challenges with dual enrollment, and some of you may chuckle when you hear that, because not only is it an obstacle for a student to fill out an admissions application, there's so many different requirements for students, and so I think it's really important to be able to have those open conversations and for the colleges to get feedback to see what the challenges or barriers are for the schools. I remember that when we were working with a school and they mentioned, we're registering students in June, and June we're worried, our seniors are worried about commencement or graduation, their grad night. They're doing all of their, celebrations as a senior, and that creates additional stress for them. And so that allowed us to really go back and think, well, maybe we should change our registration timeline so that we eliminate that process and that it's not an additional barrier for students and we're not leaving anyone out. And the last thing I'll say about dual enrollment is that when I refer to one size doesn't fit all, we sometimes try to put all of our needs into one area or one program. And I think that it's really important to make sure that we expand and create as many opportunities for students. So in San Bernardino, our school districts serve over 40,000 students, and this is just rounding numbers, but it's about 10,000 students in each class. So we have 10,000 freshmen, 10,000 sophomores, 10,000 juniors, and 10,000 seniors. So when we think about capacity, you know, that's a big number. So where are those opportunities? You know, how do we collaborate with different programs? How do we partner with colleges that may offer programs that our colleges doesn't? So I think there is really an opportunity not only to take a local approach, but also a regional approach, depending on your geographical location within the state, and really look at where can we maximize those resources to ensure that students have access to these programs.
I just want to add in something that was mentioned, is that for our campus, we have, it's 2,900 students who are enrolled in dual enrollment for this fall. And we have a student handbook regards to dual enrollment. We have a handbook for faculty that was just created this past fall. We have 4 full-time staff members and also a director over educational partnerships. We have counselors who go out to school sites as well. And we just cited in the Community College Research Center from Columbia around our dual enrollment, because we've been able to map out the costs. And I give you that because when you start to think about CTE pathways and dual enrollment and building upon this work, we have to make sure that we adequately staff what we're doing in dual enrollment. And I bring this up because earlier was mentioned in regards to the amount of paperwork. There's a lot of processes associated with dual enrollment, including the CTE dual enrollment and pathways, to make sure that you make no mistakes. And I think staffing is critical as relates to how do you move forward with this to be able to support our K-12 districts, but also to identifying roles and responsibilities between the K-12 district and also the community college.
Thank you. So pivoting a little bit, and how do you engage returning and adult learners, and how is that engagement different than what's being done for like recent high school grads and with those students who are coming up directly from K-12?
I'm happy to get it started. I think it is different, and in this space, I would say most recently there's been a lot of focus on adults, especially as you know, we're in a time where maybe people are interested in reskilling, or there's a change in desires of careers. There's a lot of movement, but we also, when we look at the data in different areas, and I know this is the case for our area, we do have opportunities to educate our adult populations. And so one program that we offer at our district is an adult transition to college program. And what it does is it's a cohort of adult learners, and they enroll in a 5-week learning community where they're with other adults like them. And there's a sequence of courses that they have to take. And one is a counseling course on how to be successful in college. That is accompanied by workshops and resources, and really connecting the students to the colleges and to the college campus resources. So it's been a program that's been recognized by the Adult Education Consortium, and we hope to further expand it and enhance it. But I think that having designated planned activities for adults is going to be critical for whatever stage they're at in their educational journey.
It just dropped in the chat our Come to College 2035, which talks about some of our strategies to engage the adult learners. And I look at it from a couple of different ways. One is, how do you do outreach and recruitment to the adult learners within your own community, and what does that look like? Also, that means looking at your marketing materials, and what does those marketing materials look like? Making sure that they're in multiple languages, depending on the community that you serve. Also making sure that courses are offered at times that are inflexible for students who are adult learners, to ensure that the courses are offered at the right times for them, but also at the right locations as well. So we offer a lot of adult ed non-credit courses at the adult schools within our district. So those individuals do not have to come to our campus. However, they do come to our campus because they are able to receive our basic needs services, which includes their 1 meal per day or $20 per week at our farmers market. So we're able to engage them to come on campus because of the basic needs services, but we're offering a lot of courses off-site at the adult schools to engage them. And we're also offering specific programs at the adult schools as well. One of the adult schools, we're offering cosmetology at that site for the first year for students who are interested in cosmetology. One of the things I think is important when we talk about the adult learner and also some of the strategies, when I looked at our data in regards to our graduates average age was 27, I'm sorry, I'm about to say 70, was 27 years old, right? So that means we have an older population of students on our campus who are graduating later on in life. So how do you support those students? Ensuring that they have services available during non-traditional times, in person and also online. But then also, too, ensuring that you're providing services to them as relates to transfer. And that's why we have a strong partnership with our campus with California State University Dominguez Hills, where students are able to take cross-enrollment classes at Dominguez Hills for $10. So students can be exposed to the CSU system while they're a coming to college student. So when I think about this question and the adult learners, it's twofold. One is your own college strategy as relates to that, but then also that relates to adult learners, but then also looking at how do we support those adult learners while they're on campus, including basic needs services, and then also transfer services. But then at the end of the day, what it all comes down to is the return on investment and economic mobility. How are we providing students, all students, but particularly adult learners, with the opportunities to get jobs? And that's what it's all about now. We have to connect everything that we do to employment. That means we have to engage the employers within our community or outside our community that's based off the majors that we offer to link our students to internships, apprenticeships, and job placement while they're college students. But then also once they complete with us or go to four-year college or university and complete, they're able to get jobs. Because at the end of the day, students who are in these programs, we want to make sure that they get jobs.
To build on that, I think it's important at the high schools to really allow for exploration of different career options for students. Oftentimes students come to us and they're not sure what they want to do. And many times some of our underrepresented students often don't believe that college is for them. And so I think the other part is really elevating all types of programs beyond high school. And I'll give you an example. We sometimes have, celebrations or where there's a morning announcements. And what do you hear on the announcements? Oh, Dr. Keith Curry was accepted to UCLA. And there's sometimes this feeling. And I remember, I was in high school a long time ago. I remember listening to those announcements and thinking about those messages aren't for me, right? They're for a certain student. And I think more and more having that inclusive approach where we're able to celebrate our students wherever they may go. And I'm seeing more and more of this. And I'm really excited when I get to go to high school campuses and they have a college board. Some of them say college and career, and it's really exciting to see when the community college is listed on there versus only the universities. And so I think that speaks volumes in terms of how we encourage and promote CTE pathways and promote students going to college. And these could be this could be at the adult education level or at the high school level, is speaking to the students and hearing their experiences. And more often than not, you hear those stories about, I didn't think college was for me, or I started late, I went directly into the workforce. And for some students going directly into the workforce, if we have our structures and opportunities for students to gain some of those work experiences, that might be their best option and that might be their choice. They may want to get that work experience. And so being intentional about the work that we do and creating that sense of celebration for everyone, I think is important.
Thank you. And sort of related to that, I kind of think about like since the celebration and a lot of like the innovations now in CTE are about having these like early wins that can really build on each other or ways to really recognize what someone has already been doing. So with that thought, how has your district implemented innovations such as stacking credentials or credit for prior learning to sort of like facilitate that like an easier, I guess, feeling of accomplishment for these students, like being able to get them like the training they need quickly, but also making sure that we're not, um, for lack of a better term, like wasting their time on possibly teaching them things that they already know. Like, so what sort of things has your district done to sort of take CTE to a more modern approach?
Would say for this question for our institution, and I'll be vulnerable here, I think we have struggled with the stackable credentials because students, they start and they get going and get units and they're like, we're gone. They're able to get a job, and how do you bring those students back? And then also with credit for prior learning, we started working on that regards to credit for prior learning. And actually, I got an email that's going out today that our committee has to get back to work on this, because we got to be able to get our processes in place as relates to credit for prior learning, because there's an opportunity there for us, especially in career technical education. But we have to make sure that we connect. We connect with students as relates to credit for prior learning, so they have an understanding of it, and also the processes that go with it. But we have struggled in this space, and the stackable credentials, we struggle because students, once they complete a certain number of units, they end up getting employed and they don't finish when they can be able to get another credential. And so how do we re-engage those individuals? And then the credit for prior learning is that we've been trying to get it moving, and we have some staffing changes, but we gotta get moving on that more so. But it's more so for me with the credit for prior learning is the structure of it, right? Understanding what roles and responsibilities are, who has those roles and responsibilities, and individuals are talking as relates to the faculty in regards to credit for prior learning.
I think we're all in a space of trying to understand the different layers of credit for prior learning. I remember over 20 years ago trying to help a student who had military credit and working with our counselors and our department to say, the student should, can we waive this requirement because they've completed this, this requirement through this training in the military. And I remember how tedious that process was. And there was really a lack of clarity and uncertainty. But right now we're in a space where we really have advanced technologies to help us with that. But I think it goes back to really trying to understand what we're trying to accomplish with this. And we often think about, time being the enemy for our students when they get into these programs, or not having clarity in terms of what courses are next. And so I think that it's important for us to really understand the different options. And the California Community College State Chancellor's Office is really trying to help the colleges figure out, what is acceptable as credit for prior learning. Is it prior work experience? Is it an AP course? Do we look at other non-traditional experiences to help, and that's going to vary from college to college, because right now it's at the college's discretion to determine what those parameters are. So a student could go to our district and say, okay, here's my portfolio. And if we've already worked with our faculty to do that work, then they may get that credit for prior learning, where, not all of the colleges are there. So really looking at either creating systematic opportunities and resources for our colleges to be able to adequately determine what is defined as that, because it is per course. And then you take it one step further, and it has to be articulated with the universities. So if, you know, I have some experience and then I transfer, the universities also have to accept it. And then you have the administrative components of how is it annotated on a transcript? How are the colleges or universities going to know that that's acceptable credit? So I think we're in a space where we're discovering and defining, and we have ways to go. But over this last, I would say 2 year period, we've made significant progress in elevating the need and recognizing that we have to do that. So not only partnering with our employers in industries, but also with our adult education programs. You know, what courses are our students taking that can help alleviate that additional class that they need to take once they get to us. And then I think in terms of stackable credentials, once again, we have certificates of accomplishments, we have certificates of achievements. But when we begin to share all of this, it can be overwhelming, not only to our students and their families, but also to our K through 12 partners and our employers in industry. So I think also trying to create some efficiencies and streamlining to avoid duplication will be helpful for this, but definitely a work in progress.
You know, Dr. Ornelas, one of the things I would say about your comments that I think was really appreciative is that we're all trying to figure it out. And I really loved how you laid it out about credit for prior learning, because I think my own staff and also even myself is like, we should be moving faster, but it's so complex, the stuff that we're doing right now, and we don't want to make a mistake. And I was just on a conversation yesterday regards to how do you put this in your transcript, right? And so when you said the transcript thing, I was like, how's that going to work? And so that was some of the things that I was talking about just yesterday. And I appreciate hearing you say that, because that means I'm not the only one thinking about that. And what does it really mean when you show that on your transcript? Mm-hmm. So I appreciate those comments.
Thank you both. Yes. Well, I know from what I know with Cradle to Career, I know it's been part of the conversation with what is going to happen with e-transcript, the platform with the chancellor's office, and all talk about whether or not it can become a career passport, if it can just be some kind of, I think they are trying to leverage the military credit tool. I think the map now to do more credit for prior learning. So exciting space as always to see what can be done, especially from a technology point of view. I think this is particularly interesting in terms of thinking back to like kind of this summit, like college affordability. Like it would definitely make something more affordable if we can really allow students to have their years spent count for these credits, so they don't have to spend dollars on things that they've already spent time on, basically. So looking forward to continuing to track that. For our next discussion question, we'll kind of back up a little bit into what other partnerships do you leverage? So we already talked about K-12. We talked about a little bit about adult ed and kind of engaging adult learners. I think there was a mention of some of the other groups, but what other partnerships are important for CTE programs?
I think right now, not the employers is important. I think the K-12 partners are important to be able to leverage. But for me right now, I'm so locked in on the return on investment and economic mobility, and really being able to look at the data for our students regards to them having the jobs in particular areas. And then how do we leverage some of those partnerships? So for example, looking at the EDD office as it relates to employer data, regards to employment data, leveraging information at California Community College Chancellor's Office about our students as relates to employment, leveraging even there's some private firms that do this work as well, where you can be able to look at a person's FICO score or Equifax regards to their employment, but really trying to leverage some partnerships as relates to employment data, I think is critical at this moment. Because right now, the conversation, from my perspective, has been moving into return on investment and economic mobility. And the key is to make sure that we have the data to show our students have had employment, are in employment and have jobs right now.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think definitely the need for private and public partnerships across all of our spaces, county and city. I mean, working with our local governments to really be sure that we're maximizing our resources and sharing the great things that are happening in terms of, you know, this work with career and technical education. There's so many opportunities out there, but I think not everyone knows all of the great things. And oftentimes when we bring people to our campuses, they're just, you know, surprised and amazed and impressed. Like, wow, I didn't know that, you know, all of these great things were happening. So really inviting people to visit, but also to learn about the work that's taking place.
Yeah, and, you know, when I think about the last comment about inviting people to visit, one of the things that we've been working with, last week we had our K-12 partners at our campus we have a high school principals breakfast that we do, and we bring out all the high school principals. We also have our advisory meetings in the spring. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is these partnerships with industry and how to really leverage it. And what does that organizational structure look like to really be able to leverage those businesses? It's not just about coming to advisory committee meeting. It's about having them meet with our faculty to talk about curriculum and where the curriculum, where industry is headed and where curriculum needs to go, so our students are able to be able to have jobs with that industry. But really leveraging, I would say leveraging, but really strengthening and going a little bit more in depth with the partnership with these employers. Because at the end of the day, our students have to have jobs, and we have to make sure that our students have job opportunities with businesses within our own community. And what does that look like? So really deepening those relationships. So it's not just, oh, come to a breakfast or a advisory committee. How can we deepen that relationship, not only with our job placement people, also our apprenticeship people, also with our faculty, to make sure that we're really deepening our relationships from internships, apprenticeships, and job opportunities for students, but then also looking at the curriculum and how the curriculum has to be aligned, but also thinking about the future of that curriculum. And here's the reason why I said about the future of that curriculum. I was in a conversation with a four-year college and university. I won't say their name, but we were having a conversation about their enrollment, and they said their enrollment at the four-year college university was doing well. However, for computer science, it was not. And I said, oh, and she said, and the person said, like, you know, that AI for data coding, you're seeing people moving away from data coding into that space because AI can do that for us, right? So how do we have conversations with industry as relates to what AI is doing within that space to prepare our students for the AI within that space, but having those types of conversations. And we have to be able to have deep conversations. That means we have to have time to be able to have these conversations. It's not just about having a breakfast, it's about having an in-depth conversation about the future, but ensuring that faculty is at the table for that, because that could change the course outline of record, but then also make sure faculty are involved in that as relates to the work experience opportunities for our students while they're at coming to college with that relationship with that business.
So kind of in a different thing now. So what would you say is the top challenge facing career tech education today, either in your college, in your district, or just state as a whole, country as a whole, what have you?
I think one of the top challenges for CTE, and I'm just going to say maybe programs, is affordability and access to financial aid. There's been significant strides in trying to, you know, move forward the workforce Pell initiative, and you know, there's conversations about, you know, looking at the Cal grants. And I really think that's an important aspect when we look at that. It can be very, I would say, disappointing to students who have this desire to go into a CTE program, but if it's not covered by financial aid, they may have to change their major to look at other options. And so I think collectively, not only as a state, but also nationally, we need to look at ways to ensure that students have access to all of the financial aid programs, whether it's a certificate, a degree, a program that's a transferable program or a CTE program, because for quite some time there's been a hierarchy of what's approved and what's not, and I think that could be very challenging. But most importantly, CTE continues to evolve, and I go back to thinking about my experiences as a high school student, and remembering that I took a home economics course in high school, and the value that course had for me. And we went through a period of time where a lot of these programs phased out and there was a different focus. So I think if it's going to be a priority, that we have to be able to fund it appropriately and have adequate support to ensure that these programs are sustainable.
Yeah, I would say the big challenge that I see in CTE right now is the return on investment as relates to the big, beautiful bill and student loans, where if you're in a program that does not have a return on investment, the federal government, you might not be eligible for loans for that program. That concerns me a lot. And for my campus, we have a number of programs that are CTE related where students have been taking out loans. And so that concerns me more than anything, because we have students of color, particularly males of color, in some of those CTE programs where they're taking out loans, but it might not have return on investment or economic mobility, where students are not able to receive a loan, a federal loan, and what impact that will have on those students, but also on the community. And so when I talk about return on investment and economic mobility, my concern is about the big, beautiful bill and the loan program and the potential impact of our students. And that goes right back into affordability, right? Why do students have to take out a loan for a CTE program? Why are they in that position to have to take out a loan? And people say, oh, students, they don't need a loan. They don't need a loan for particular programs, right? They can do that on their own. We don't know all the students' financial situation. We don't know why students need to take a loan. And I'm not the one to have to judge that to say you should get a loan because you don't need it. Students are, they need us, and they need loans to be able to get through, but also to be able to pay their bills as well as they try to educate themselves. So we have to make sure that as we look at this big, beautiful bill and the return on investment, ensuring that we have industry connected to those programs, and also making sure that we're maximizing all types of financial aid for our students before they go into a loan program, but then also making sure that they're aware of the loan program, but make sure that they get in and out those programs as quickly as possible and into employment. But taking on the big, beautiful bill as relates to the loan program and the return on investment, economic mobility, to ensure that our students are able to complete the program. And if they do need to get a loan, they can, because the economic mobility is there for our students. But I do think that's a challenge. And I think people have to pay attention to this challenge, because it's going to impact all of our students as we move forward, but specifically students in the CTE programs. So that's why it's important, going back to a previous question, as relates to CTE and K-12, is that we want to make sure that we're offering CTE programs for K-12 students, because it's about affordability. And if a student has that interest in CTE early on, let them be able to take classes while they're in high school, because we want to make sure that's affordable. Dual enrollment makes it affordable, right? So we have to figure out ways to make sure that all of our programs, and we look at affordability, students are able to get in and get out as quickly as possible, but they're able to leave with less debt, right? I left college with $10,000 worth of loans, went out for undergrad. And that also includes my graduate program, because I didn't have to take out loans for graduate school. But just think about that. That's unheard of for someone to leave a University of California campus with $10,000 worth of loans, right? And I'm proud that I only had $10,000 worth of loans. But I have a friend who had $300,000 worth of debt for grad school, and it also included a doctorate degree. that's not sustainable. So we have to be able to deal with affordability for our students, not only for their undergrad, but also for graduate degrees as well. Affordability is a big deal.
Absolutely. So with our last question, before we open up to the audience here, so given these challenges, given all these other kind of obstacles, why would you say that CTE is the future of higher education, the name of our session?
We have from my perspective, we have students who are interested in career technical education. There's jobs in career technical education. And I see potential for that. The key is that as a future is that we align our resources to support students who are moving through the CTE pathways, not just from our college students, but also dual enrollment students. So I see not only as a future, but also as we think about the redesign or the guided pathways 3.0 or 4.0, whatever number we want to use, is really trying to look at how do we engage more with CTE and economic mobility. But yeah, there's job opportunities in CTE as long as we're able to get students in those programs earlier, but also align our resources from our K-12 strong workforce dollars and our community college strong workforce dollars locally and regionally, and align that with philanthropy. We could be able to do more, but we got to move away from these silo conversations. And I think everybody on this call knows about the silo conversations. Everybody wants to be the star and say, I do it one way, instead of bringing a lot of people to the table to be able to do it a good, same way you want, but bringing in more partners, we're bringing in more resources. We have to be able to utilize multiple resources to be able to support the students within our community, but also within our regions.
Yeah, that's hard to follow. Just I mean, everything that you've said, Dr. Curry, hits the spot. And I think as we continue to look into the future, career technical education has a place in a lot of the future careers in the jobs that we're seeing when we begin to start, drilling down on the data, not only local needs, statewide needs, but national needs. And we're seeing, these continued spaces where we need, the medical shortage, we need more nurses, so we have identified, certain areas that have gaps, and we need to fill those gaps. So as we begin to think about our future, CTE needs to be at the center of the conversation. We need to begin to think about what we're going to do, but we have to respond fast. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge is how do we begin to really partner with one another and maximize our opportunities for our students. A solution 10 years from now is not going to help our current students. So really working collaboratively, locally, and across the state to say where are our priorities and how are we going to serve our current students, while also preparing for those students that are coming right behind them.
And just to add to this, next week, small club on Wednesday, we've been working with the Los Angeles County Regional Consortium, the 19 colleges, the CSU system, industry partners, and also industry leaders as relates to nursing in LA County. So we have the LA County Nursing 2035 initiative report coming out and more information in regards to our steering committee. We've been working on this for the last year and a half, regards to how can we work together to address the nursing shortage within Los Angeles County. But it's a collaborative effort, but really looking at some of those structural issues that are there in regards to nursing. I learned a lot working with the CSU as a partner with the other colleges, but now it's time to do the real work, align our resources, but really taking on, and I bring this up because it's important that we really take on some of these big initiatives. And what I utilize for big, I call it bold, impactful, and also giving. I think we have to be very bold with the initiatives we take on. We have to make sure that's impactful, which impacts all students. And we have to be giving where we're giving up a lot to be able to do this type of work, but really have to be big right now in addressing big issues within our communities. And nursing is one, but there's other ones too. Look at teacher preparation, right? Teacher education, sorry. How can we look at more K-12 and K-14 teachers. And what does that look like? And the reason why I bring that up as a big issue is they look at child development. What's the return on investment, economic mobility for individuals who want to do child development? But if we're able to move those students away from child development a little bit, but in a teacher education, then there's more economic mobility for our students. But really just being able to look at some big ideas and really working together within regions or within your community to address those ideas and those issues, which I think is very important.
And there's a lot of initiatives across the state that really focus on those areas. The K-16 collaboratives that exist across the state, partnering and really looking at enhancing and allocating resources. And the 4 areas that collaborative focuses on, I think, are all areas in the CTE, which are business, education, health, and is it cybersecurity? I think
for our area is computer science.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think this is, we talk about the future. I just want to add to this. I'm gonna be done with this one. Is we just did we have a partnership in Compton with our Compton Community Health Partnership, and as Dr. Ornelas, you mentioned about the K-16 Collaborative, we received $300,000 from K-16 Collaborative to be able to do some of the work. We hired a full-time staff person to do that. We were able to leverage that with the Keck Foundation, where we have 2 community navigators around health, and also provided funding for our partners regards to curriculum alignment. So we got $1 million. And then we got $1.7 million from the Broad Foundation for each of our partners to have 1 staff person for the next 3 years to work on the Compton Community Health Partnership. We brought in over $3.5 million. Because we've been able to align the resources and work together, and we're able to tell a story about what we're doing. It is a lot of work. However, now people see even more so the benefits of the work, because now we're starting to get philanthropy stepping in to say we support. And the Keck Foundation, quite frankly, I'm still surprised. It was an email request. An email request got us $1 million. And we have 2 full-time community health navigators who are knocking on doors and also going to K-12 partnership schools to talk about health partnerships, just health disparities, health partnerships, and also the health programs within the educational bodies within our sector, within our area, but then also the community-based health centers, right? But really being strategic with these partnerships, but align the resources. And the K-16 Collaborative was one of the first grants we got, right? Which allowed us to get staff, the first staff person. Then we just started to continue to build off of it. But it's important to bring the partners to the table as they to the future of CTE, because you're not going to be able to talk to philanthropy about a project at your campus where people are looking to see what's most impactful. Most impactful is when you have more partners at the table and you're taking on big ideas and big challenges, which are bold, impactful, and also giving.
Thank you. So before we move to, I think we have time for a couple of questions from the audience. I do want to plug that immediately following this session, please join us for our final afternoon main session. You'll have to go back to the lobby and click join on that one. But until then, I think we have about 7 minutes left. So I believe Elizabeth and Malachi, you can unmute.
Yes, thank you. So the question was, what are some questions I can ask my sister's counselor? She's a senior in high school, and the high school was supposed to offer a CNA class, but they ended up canceling. And my sister feels like she has to do it on her own. But I just talked to the college of near our area, and they told me about the dual enrollment, and I heard doctor talk about it. So what are some good questions that I can ask the counselor so that she can guide me and help my sister, because I kind of feel like she feels that she's alone and she has to do it on her own. But now I'm finding out that actually the counselor can help us. What are some questions or guidance I can talk to the counselor about?
So I have a couple of thoughts on that. One thing, let me just connect back to my college, is that one of the things that we have done with dual enrollment, because I'm always afraid that students don't know what's happening, we have a 12 and 4 campaign where every year, twice a year, we send out the courses that we're offering for dual enrollment for the fall and also the spring to all students within that district for that high school. So they know about all the dual enrollment opportunities, from the AB 280 agreements for classes offered during the daytime, to classes that are offered on our campus, to classes that are offered at the that are offered after school at the high school sites. Because we want to make sure everybody is aware of the dual enrollment opportunities. I think one is to have an open conversation with the counselor regards to your sister's interest, and then also having a conversation with the local community college regards to CNA and what's availability for high school students to do that as a part of dual enrollment. I think it's very important that we are all become advocates, not just for our students, but also for our family members as well, and making sure that we are providing individuals with those opportunities for dual enrollment. But having that conversation with the counselor, and also making sure that the conversation's had. If you're not able to have the conversation with the counselor, you got to talk to the vice principal. If you're not able to have the conversation with the vice principal, you got to talk to the principal. We have to be able to advocate not only for our students, but also for our family members as well, because the educational opportunities right now, we have to make sure they all know about all those opportunities, because it goes right back to what Dr. Ornelas mentioned earlier as it relates to affordability.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I feel like since my mom doesn't speak English, and my sister, she's very kind. She's actually very determined to be a CNA. She's volunteering at the hospital. My mom paid $500 for an enrollment for a CNA program, and they ended up not taking her, so that was non-refundable. So now she's minus 500, and I just kind of feel like that's why when I saw this summit, I was like, you know what, I need to see how I can help my sister, and that's why I joined the summit, because I feel like now she's at a point where she knows exactly what she wants to do. So I will do that. Talk to the counselor. If that doesn't happen, then I'll go a step above. Thank you so much.
And just to add to that, I think before you commit to another program, there's different types of programs, and some of them are private or profit colleges. And so before she commits to anything, really try to see if you can speak with your local community college to see what options are available. Sometimes the CNA is not available for dual enrollment, but maybe she can plan on taking other courses if she's a senior, and she can graduate and then go into the CNA program. So I think there are some opportunities for her to explore before you commit to any other programs. And it's unfortunate that those dollars are not refundable. Hopefully, you know, I would definitely go back to that program to see if there's any type of appeal or waiver to see if you can get that funding back. But that can be a challenge. So before you commit to anything, you know, try to see what the local community college can offer.
Thank you so much. I will certainly do that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We have 2 minutes.
I was just going to put my email in the chat. I mean, we've talked a lot about different programs and services, but obviously, you know, we could talk about this for a long time, days, you know, this could be an entire day session. But if there are any other questions, or if there's something that I mentioned that anyone wants more detail, I'll just include my email address in there.
Thank you. And Dr. Curry has included his as well. So with that, thank you both so much for joining us. Thank you to all of our participants for joining us. Again, please join us for our last session, closing remarks. It's been a great day, and I hope everyone got some good takeaways from this session. Thank you very much.